What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie, and I want to welcome everybody on Instagram, everybody on YouTube, everybody on Facebook. And before we go any further, happy 4-year anniversary to Cocktails in the War Room. Our official anniversary is coming up on Thursday. So even though this is episode 267, we started this back on March 14th of 2020. We started getting together in the craziest part of the early days of the pandemic, shortly after WAAF went off the air. And we got together that first night. We did it 80 nights in a row. And then in June of 2020, we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast. And we turned Cocktails in the War Room into a weekly show. In the last few weeks, we have then expanded to be able to live stream not only on Facebook, but YouTube and Instagram. So yes, this is episode 267, but it is also our 4-year anniversary this week. So cheers to you guys. Normally, you can tell what I'm drinking based on the glass, but, well, it's not that hard because I wanted to pull out a little bubbly tonight. Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room for anybody that is new. If you've never been in the War Room before, and for the first time, I can see all of the comments from Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, all live simultaneously on the show. This is an upgrade with the software that I did not think we were ever going to be able to accomplish, but we can. So if you are new to Cocktails in the War Room, we do this every Tuesday night at 8:30. We go live to talk about music, talk about everything that's going on in the world, and I answer your questions. We talk about concerts and sports, big announcements that have come out in music. And so if you are new, if you've never joined us in the War Room before, chime in on the comments on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Let us know that it's your first War Room. And also let us know where you're watching from so that we, the War Room family, as we have become to dub ourselves over the last 4 years, can welcome you properly. Now, if you are new to the War Room, there are going to be some inside jokes, and we don't want you to be left out. So you need to go to mistresscarrie.com. And when you do that, you will see a link. I'm going to shrink this little banner down over here because it's driving me crazy that it's in my head. You will see a little banner that says the dictionary. And that dictionary is all of the inside jokes and it's basically a glossary of ridiculousness is what it is. And it kind of gets you caught up with all of the inside jokes, the terms, all of that stuff that you may have missed. Now, if you're new to the War Room, you may not realize that there is a co-host. For people on Instagram, because you're not going to be able to see the full screen, this is Wednesday. Wednesday has been my co-host here in the War Room for all 4 years. She joins us. For anybody that's on YouTube and Facebook, you can see the split screen now. She's been throwing all of her toys all over the floor since I set everything up. We have a nice little collection of alcohol-themed toys that Wednesday likes to play with while she's in here. But for anybody that's new, this is Wednesday. That's where you can find her on Instagram at Wednesday the Goth Pug. We are only a few followers away from 1,000 followers on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram right now and you're watching, follow Wednesday at Wednesday the Goth Pug. And get her over 1,000 followers, which would be fantastic. Betty says, I am so glad to have you back on my television. Now I will not be interrupted. So happy. Thank you. For a lot of people with smart TVs, you can now watch on YouTube. You can watch on Instagram. You can watch on Facebook, wherever it is. But the YouTube channel, now that it streams live, allows you to watch Cocktails in the War Room like a regular television show. Except this one is badly produced. We drink alcohol the whole time, and my co-host is a dog. Other than that, it's just like a regular, normal show. And by the way, the co-host, Wednesday, she begs for cookies, and that's how we bribe her to come on the show, basically. Hey, saw you at the Dog Star show in Boston. I was too shy to say hi, says Chiffon. Then you saw me nerding out for Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I was there. The show was amazing. I should watch on my big screen. Yeah, then you can like look up my nose. Like the idea of me being on your giant like 70-inch smart TV is totally freaking me out. That is the perfect. Oh, wait. Fuck, we did old ass shit. Fucking COVID 4 years. Seems like yesterday. I was ripping my hair out with 4 kids under the age of 7 in the house, says Eric. We've been through a lot. And it's actually one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because now that we can live stream on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at the same time, there are a lot of people that may not have been around for all 4 years of the War Room. So I wanted to do a little bit of memory lane and kind of go back and talk about everything that we've written out. So the War Room started on March 14th of 2020. And for anybody that doesn't know why we call it Cocktails in the War Room has always been a room in my house where when my friends come over, this is where we hang out. There's a wood stove in here. It's where the bar is. But it's also where I display all of the things I brought back from my trips overseas to Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's also where my collection of military memorabilia and photographs of my family's lineage that I'm still researching, it's where it's all displayed. So when my friends would come over for years, I'd say, come on, let's go have a cocktail in the War Room. And so on March 14th, after the suggestion of an old AAF coworker of mine, Kaiser, I want to give him a shout out. This was all his idea. He said, why don't you go live either on Instagram or Facebook or something and let everybody know how you're doing? Because, you know, we were just a couple of weeks from AAF going off the air, and I had already started my company, started construction on MCHQ, my personal studio, had already started putting things in the works to launch the Mistress Carrie podcast. But he was like, you know, there's a lot of people on your social media pages that would probably like to see you and kind of hear how you're doing. And so the first night we went live on my phone in the War Room. We did like 45 episodes that way of me just sitting in here getting drunk, telling you stories on my phone. And then I got a tripod and a ring light, and then we did another 40 episodes or so, and then we got the software that you see now and turned the War Room into a weekly show when we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast back in June of 2020 with my first guest, Brent Smith from Shinedown, who was recently on the show again, I believe on episode 189. So it's been a long journey. So since March 14th of 2020, we've ridden through the loss of WAF, right? March 14th, 2020, they were talking about canceling the St. Patrick's Day parade in South Boston. There were rumors that Tom Brady was going to leave the Patriots. Look at how far we've come in the last 4 years. I started my company, announced the podcast. We have had so many personal conversations about personal loss, about personal struggle, our fears of the pandemic, shortages of things. We were giving each other tips on where to go and find things. You guys were sending me all kinds of provisions as I was locked down in the house. I was locked down because I found out in the early stages of the pandemic that my mom had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia and had been living with me in the house. So the realization of her diagnosis was something. Also, I was preparing for my then boyfriend to get deployed that fall. I got engaged, got married, became a stepmom. We've gone through a lot. Obviously, Tom Brady did leave, won another Super Bowl. I mean, it's been insane. Wednesday, you are being very fresh. The cookie pocket is empty. It's all gone. There's no more left. Can you just sit and be a good girl and show everybody your pretty fuzzy face and how nice you can be? Can you just do that? We celebrated Wednesday's second birthday and had, I think it was 6,000 people join me for Wednesday's second birthday party here in the War Room. And now she's getting ready to turn 6 next month. Somebody says your shirt matches the couch. So I wore this shirt. I'm going to say what's up to the guys from Rubicon. because St. Patrick's Day is this week and I wanted to wear something green, and I don't really own a lot of green things. And the green things that I own are army green, which is the color of the couch. So if you were doing green screen work right now, like my head would be floating right now. Yes. Are you showing everybody how you wave with your tail Wednesday? Byron says, what's up, Mistress Carrie and Wednesday? Everybody Hates Savage says you need to have Mike Shue on the show. So because you are watching on Instagram, you may not know Mike Shue has been on several times. Not only has he been a guest on a previous episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast, but Mike Shue has also celebrated milestone episodes of the Mistress of Cocktails in the War Room. He joined me for the final nightly episode live here in the War Room. And then I believe, didn't he join us for episode 150 when we took the show out on the road? So Shue has been on the show, but now that we're hosting on YouTube and Instagram, we definitely have to have him come back. Melissa says, the snack box. Army green. Yes, Mr. Cole. I know you're a Marine. The OD green, olive drab. People call it army green. I don't want to hear it from the Marines, including my husband. Dye your hair green. So Steven, if you doom scroll back through my Instagram, I do have a green wig. And I did do that one year here in the War Room. I put the green wig on. My coloring does not look right with green hair. It was just brutal. Kathy says, I have been so out of the loop. Kathy, I'm glad you're watching on Instagram, and I'm glad that you're getting looped back in, because there's a lot to talk about. So what we do every Tuesday night is I fill you guys in on who's going to be on the podcast, the appearances and places you're going to be able to come and hang out with me, give you details on where you can listen to me on the radio. We talk about concerts that got announced, events that are happening, charitable endeavors. I do want to tell you guys that I have a last minute ticket giveaway happening in the War Room tonight for a show happening tomorrow night. So I have some room on the guest list last minute. It involves my guest from the podcast this week, which we will get to in just a couple of minutes. So if you want to win some free tickets, I have got some free tickets to give away on the show. All right. So I want to fill you guys in case you're finding me on YouTube and you haven't seen me live and you don't know where I've been or what I've been doing. I am constantly bumping into people that say, I miss you on the radio. People constantly comment that way. I'm on the radio in a bunch of different places, including on a bunch of Westwood One stations across the country. In New England, you can hear me every weekday afternoon on a couple different stations. If you like classic rock, you can hear me on 100 FM The Pike. Out of Worcester, Mike Shue does mornings, I do afternoons. And The Pike, we've got a lot going on. This Friday is Feel Good Friday. If you are in the greater Webster area and you want to come hang out with me, Feel Good Friday, kick off your weekend 5:30 to 7:30 at Waterfront Mary's on Webster Lake. We're going to have tickets to give away, food specials. It's the Friday night before Thanksgiving. Listen to me. The Friday night before St. Patrick's Day. So come and hang out with me at Feel Good Fridays at Waterfront Mary's in Webster, Friday from 5:30 to 7:30. And any of the events that I tell you about, you can find on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Coming up at the end of next month at the DCU Center in Worcester, 100 FM The Pike presents Big Gig 3, featuring Stain, Seether, Asking Alexandria, and Tim Montana. Mike Shue and I are going to be hosting Big Gig 3. So if you do not have your tickets yet, there may still be some of those discounted tickets available. Join us at the Big Gig, DCU Center, April 27th. And the after party, the official Big Gig after party, is happening at Off the Rails on Commercial Street, right next door to the DCU Center. Separate tickets are required to get into the after party. But again, go to the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. If you like your rock a little heavier, you can hear me every weekday afternoon on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. And just like the Pike, you can listen on the website at pikefm.com or download the Pike app, or you can listen to 1063thebone.com or download the Bone app, and then you can stream from anywhere. So even if you're in Massachusetts, you can listen that way too. Does anybody want to meet Carrie on Friday, says Jonathan. F you, Jonathan. This is why I hate working second shift, says Jason. Don't worry, we're going to be doing more stuff. There is an event coming up on Saturday at the end of the month that you can come and hang out with me there on a Saturday as well. Larry says we need LB. Larry LB was a guest on the podcast. Kevin Barbary was a guest on the podcast. Danielle has been here in the war room. Maddie Blake has been in the war room and on the podcast. So a lot of my AAF brethren who we're all still friendly, we still talk and keep in touch with each other, they have already been on the show. Do you ever get back up to the Merrimack Valley area? Jay wants to know. I do from time to time. We've done some stuff in Dracut at the boat before. And one of the goals that I have for this summer is to be able to take the show out on the road more. One of the things I really wanted to be able to do was expand Cocktails in the War Room and be able to stream not only on Facebook Live, but also on YouTube and Instagram. And now that we've got it working and I can read all of the comments simultaneously, the goal is for Cocktails in the War Room to grow so that we can expand the War Room family and get people together and take the show on the road on Tuesday nights to different bars, restaurants, events, which we've done. We've gone to VFWs. We've had our own anniversary shows to be able to give people a chance to get together that have become friends here in the War Room and just to give us an excuse to get together and have a cocktail on Tuesday nights. By the way, if you're new to the War Room, Cocktails in the War Room t-shirts are available in the online store at mistresscarrie.com, and they are really badass. So 106.3 The Bone every weekday afternoon from 3 to 7 in Portland, Maine. And if we're talking about events, if you work second shift during the week and you're not able to join me for Feel Good Friday, coming up on Saturday, and this is happening on March 24th. The times have changed on this flyer. The event is actually noon to 5. This was a typo that has been corrected on the website, and the flyer that I was given for the event has also been updated on mistresscarrie.com and on my events page on my Mistress Carrie Facebook page. But anybody that listened to my old WAF radio show, you know that 10 years ago this year, there was a really tragic fire in the Back Bay. And somebody that I had worked with through the Boston Firefighters Burn Foundation that I was friends with, firefighter Mikey Kennedy, Wild Man, as he was called by a lot of his friends, who was a Marine veteran, was killed along with Lieutenant Ed Walsh in that Back Bay fire. Commemorating the 10th anniversary of his passing, a bunch of his friends are putting together a 10th anniversary memorial event at Florian Hall in Boston, which is the Firefighters Union Hall. There's going to be live music, 50-50 raffle, cash bar, food. It's a great way to come out. There's going to be proceeds going to veterans charities and nonprofits, and there's going to be food trucks. And it's just going to be a great way for people to commemorate the sacrifice of a hero in firefighter Michael Kennedy. I know his family is going to be there. A lot of his brothers from the fire department are going to be there. The club that he rode with, that he did so much volunteer work with, the Veterans Motorcycle Club, the American Infidels, are helping to put this all on. So if you are looking to get with me, or to get together with me, I should say, on a weekend, noon to 5 at Florian Hall, Saturday, March 24th. This is coming up fast. Drink the typo. Fine. Let's see. Hello, everybody, says Will. John says long live AAF. Let's see. Oh, there's something else that I wanted to talk to you guys about before we get into the podcast and stuff. One of the things, a couple of weeks ago, I went to Las Vegas and I went to this rock radio convention, and a friend of mine named Seth Ressler, who is a long career radio person and is now doing a lot of multimedia, digital kind of promotion and marketing, and he's a consultant in a lot of different ways. He gave this really great presentation about community building. And one of the things he talked about was because there is so much media coming at people all of the time, that it's not enough to just have social media pages and kind of have this barrage of information. That the best thing that you can do when you are somebody in my position doing what I do is to have communities where I love that Wednesday's sitting back there right now, where it's not just you communicating with people, but giving people a chance to communicate back to you and to give those people in that community the ability to communicate amongst themselves, because that community is like-minded people that have something in common. And Seth talked to me a lot about the community that we've built here in the War Room, because it's something that happened organically. I've called you guys the happy accident for years now. I never would have imagined going live on March 14th of 2020 that Cocktails in the War Room would turn into this multi-streaming platform show that we do with its own logo and its own merchandise, which, by the way, the War Room logo is right there. That's what's on the t-shirt. And so as he was doing this presentation, I realized that one of the communities that I did not build well enough, and was a little bit upset by myself, because people have asked me over the years why I never started my own nonprofit that would benefit veterans and first responders and military personnel. And I had always said that I didn't want to do that because all of those organizations, those nonprofits, those 501c3s already exist. And they're doing amazing work. And I want to lend my voice to help bring awareness and resources to those organizations. But what I neglected to do was to create a place for that to happen outside of my regular social media platforms and outside of the War Room. Now, we do talk a lot about veterans outreach, benefits, all of those kinds of things. And we have galvanized the War Room family to do volunteer work and all of that kind of stuff. But I also wanted to have a place where veterans and people that love veterans and people that want to support veterans could go to share information with each other in a more permanent place. So I have launched the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock group on Facebook. So if you go to my Facebook page, you can look up my groups. It's Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock. And it's a group for people to share veterans and first responders themed events, to share stories and resources, and to be able to share struggles. I'm having trouble navigating a healthcare system. I have questions about applying for benefits. I'm a loved one of a veteran that thinks my veteran may need some help. I need somebody to talk to. Has someone else been through this situation? Could you give me some advice? And the War Room, while it's great for us to communicate with each other, wasn't a permanent sounding board for these kinds of discussions because it's only once a week. The Veterans Rock group on Facebook that I started is for this exact reason, to give you guys a place to ask questions, to track down fellow veterans that, to try and put deployment reunions together. If you're looking to track down people that you served with, it's for all of those things. And you don't have to be a veteran to join the group. You just have to be interested in veterans organizations, veterans resources, veterans stories. And I definitely am trying to also find a place for all of the veterans that I met in Iraq and Afghanistan for me to be able to keep in touch with them as well. So if you have not joined the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock group on Facebook, please do so, because I really want to be able to help people navigate systems, organizations, resources. And hopefully we're going to be able to help a bunch of people, whether it be just creating a new community, sharing information, sharing experiences, and connecting veterans with each other, which we have spoken about so many times here in the War Room as one of the most important things that can happen. As a civilian myself, there's only so much that someone that's never been in the military can do. But veterans talking to each other, veterans helping other veterans, Yes. Do they need help getting the word out, financial resources, all of those things from the rest of us? 100%. But nobody is going to understand a veteran and their struggles more than another veteran that's been there. And so I really want you guys to help me create this amazing community. It's obviously not something where it's tied to money or anything. It's a free group. It's on Facebook, but I am trying to get as many people as I can in that ecosystem to make announcements, events easier to help get the word out. So please share the group. If you're a veteran, share it on your personal Facebook pages. If you're the member of a VFW or a Legion, share it on the Legion and VFW pages to really start getting veterans organized. And speaking of the Legions and the VFWs, we've done events with the VFW and the Legions, and their membership is dwindling because we are losing so many World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam era veterans because they are passing on. But post 9/11 veterans have been very slow to join the ranks of the Legion, the Purple Heart Society, the VFWs, and all of those organizations give you great lobbying power in DC to help advocate for yourselves en masse for better treatment, funding, benefits. And so I'm hoping that this group on Facebook is also going to give those organizations a place to really be able to show how vital and how important these veterans groups and locations are for the future generations of veterans that are, as we always know, going to have to continue to go to DC to fight for treatment and research and resources and healthcare and all of those things. So Tracy wants to know how Mr. C is. For anybody that's new, Mr. C is my husband. He is still active duty military. He is a Marine. He is home. The last couple of weeks, he was not stateside. And I didn't really know where he was all the time. And as a military spouse, I'm sure other military spouses can relate that it's nerve-wracking, especially with everything that's going on in the world. He's home safe. Thank you for asking. Mom is great. I had dinner with her earlier today. She is doing really well. Obviously not improving, but her quality of life is much better. She's closer to home. She's getting so many more visitors, and I can pop in and see her at a moment's notice, which is fantastic. So Thomas says, hey, hair is looking great. Thank you very much. Will says, I'm going to be in Worcester for St. Patrick's Day. Any recommendations? There's a lot of places to go for St. Patrick's Day in Worcester. Oh man, do you guys want to help him out with some suggestions on where to go? There's so many great like hole in the wall bars and also some fantastic new places to go. Mike Shue is really the expert when it comes. Anytime I'm going to go out to eat, anytime I'm meeting friends and they're looking for a specific kind of food, I always call Mike Shue and I'm like, Mike, where can I go in Worcester for the best Indian food? Where can I go to get a great Italian sub? Where can I go to get Korean food or Thai food? Or, is there a crepe place in Worcester? Who has good pierogies? Mike Shue knows all of these things. So you guys can also chime in the comments. Michael Cole says Fiddler's Green on Temple Street. There you go. Go to Dragon 88, says Eric. Jessica says Alzheimer's and dementia are terrible diseases. They 100% are. And as we look back at 4 years of the War Room this week, you guys really were such a huge support system for me, dealing with every crisis that I have faced in the last 4 years. Being laid off, being unemployed for the first time in my life, the challenges of starting my own business, finding out about my mom's diagnosis, preparing for my then boyfriend, now husband, to deploy again, my dad passing and navigating that whole situation last year. my own illnesses and injuries, nursing a bum shoulder back to health, dealing with an injured back in the last 4 years. You guys have, helped me right the ship, both personally and professionally. And so 4 years later, looking at everything we've gone through, it's pretty unbelievable. Brett says, Shu knows his food and weed shops and booze. He is a beer connoisseur. So don't sell him short on that. Let's see. Because we love you, says Steven. Thank you. How is the shoulder doing? Can you ride this summer? Trina wants to know. So I've been battling frozen shoulder syndrome for literally 2 years now. And there was a time where I could not move my shoulder. I have a partial rotator cuff tear that has made riding my motorcycle and skydiving difficult. The shoulder is getting better. Wednesday, why are you scratching me? I'm not 100% yet, but I am hoping to ride this summer and I am hoping to skydive this summer. So Steven says, that's what family does. Ryan says, sorry I'm late. Happy anniversary, everybody. Jonathan wants to know how Uncle Froggy is. So I have not spoken to him in probably, I talked to him around the holidays. So I don't think I've talked to Uncle Froggy yet this year since the holiday season, but he's good. Byron says, shoo. Will says, I still don't lick anything weird. Thank you, MC. Christina says, what's up, fam? Keith says, you are late. Dang, I'm retiring this year from fishing. Joe says, you can retire from fishing? Steven says, it sucks getting old. Yeah, you have no idea. All right, so we have talked about events. Let's talk about this week's podcast episode. So last week, episode 196 of the Mistress Carrie podcast came out. When I launched the podcast 4 years ago, I told you guys that I wanted to be able to keep you in touch with all of the bands that you love. The classic rock bands and the legends that have inspired generations of rock musicians. All of the bands that I became friends with in the early days of their career and that you heard me play for the first time on WAAF over the 20 some odd years that I was on the air there. But I also said that I wanted to be able to introduce you guys to new artists, up and coming bands that don't have that springboard of WAAF to help them. And so I ask you guys from time to time to check out a new band. So last week on episode 196, I introduced you guys to Jake Diab from Autumn Kings. They're a band that grew up just across the Canadian border from Detroit. And so they were inspired, obviously, by Detroit rock radio, the bands that came out of Detroit. Since then, these guys have become dual citizens. And we talk about, this is Jake right here. We talked about him taking the citizenship test to become an American citizen. We talked about their multiple USO tours to play for US troops in South Korea and Japan. And we also just talked about what it's like to be a new up and coming band in the era where it's a lot more difficult to break in person, but there are so many digital resources for bands to help get the word out. So these guys were the topic of conversation last week on episode 196 with Jake Diab from Autumn Kings. This week, I am going to introduce you to a new guest of the podcast that you are extremely familiar with because he is inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame already, but albeit for a different project. So this is Rick Allen from Def Leppard. That is his wife, singer and songwriter Lauren Monroe. Together, they are on tour right now, and they also are the founders of the Raven Drum Foundation, which is a nonprofit that uses music, drum circles, creativity to help first responders and veterans. And Rick, in this week's episode, talks about how he wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for first responders because of the tragic car accident that took his arm back in the 80s. He obviously has reinvented his career, continued to play drums with Def Leppard, but he also has gotten sober, and he views the work that Lauren and he do through the Raven Drum Foundation, the events that they host, the outreach that they do, and the healing power of music as his way of giving back, of righting some of the wrongs in his life and really being a positive force in music. And so tomorrow night, they are going to be at City Winery in Boston with Lauren's band, and they're going to be doing drum circle stuff and playing her original songs. She does some amazing cover songs as well. And so I also talked to Rick about the fact that he'll be back in Boston later this year because Def Leppard is co-headlining at Fenway Park on the Summer Stadium tour with Journey, and Heart is opening up the tour. Now, they played Fenway a couple years ago with Motley Crue and Poison and Joan Jett. And so Rick also talks about what it was like to be given unfettered access to the temple that is Fenway Park. We also talked about a personal story of mine from when I was in high school. I don't want to give too much away. Next week in the War Room, we will discuss it and I will show you the pictures. But I asked for an apology from Rick Allen from Def Leppard, and he gave me one. And I deserved it, damn it, because Rick, you got me in trouble when I was in high school. So episode 197 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, which is available at all podcast outlet locations. It's Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe are my guests on episode 197. Let's see. Hand sanitizer, still my best buddy. Let's see, 48 with health issues. It sucks, says Marcy. You guys are all talking about how old you are. No, you're not even that old. Donna says, understandable. Best of luck on your future endeavors. Maybe we'll see you in here a bit more, says Donna. Let's see. You guys are all having your own private conversations. All right. Speaking of the podcast, not only can you listen to every episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast, which comes out every Wednesday if you subscribe, but every weekday you're going to get the Sit Rep, which is around 5 minutes and brings you all of the rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates, everything from album releases and tours to lawsuits, streaming movie stuff. Anything that you can think of is all right there. Jacqueline says, happy anniversary, War Room. Lisa says, I am 55. Brett says, Wolfie liked my IG story about him and Slash at the Oscars. Oh my God. That was so epic. Slash and Wolfgang Van Halen showing up during I'm Just Ken. So good. So good. Let's see. Can't wait to listen to this podcast, says Annette. You guys are all over there licking weird things. So the Sit Rep is just going to be 5 minutes of rapid fire headline stories that I think you're going to be interested in. And it uploads really early in the morning so that you can stay up to date with everything that's going on while you're making your coffee, walking the dog, driving into work, bringing the kids to school, whatever it is that you're doing. If you're looking for an outlet to listen to the Mistress Carrie podcast, you can first go to mistresscarrie.com. All of the players are embedded right there, so you can just hit play on whatever episode you want to listen to. You can also listen to the audio, full-length episodes on YouTube, and then you can subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeart, any podcast app that you use, Podbean, whatever. They are all available there. And we're always looking to try and add a 150th country to the Mistress Carrie podcast, places that have listened to the podcast over the last 4 years. We're at 149 countries and counting. So we're looking for that 150th country. And well, there are definitely some gaps in Africa where there is room for growth, but we haven't gotten there yet. So those are just some of the places that you can listen to the podcast. If you're celebrating your birthday today on March 12th, happy birthday. You share your birthday with Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, with James Taylor, and with Liza Minnelli. So happy birthday to you. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Cheers to you guys. Will says 4 years making Tuesdays rock. Congratulations. Have you started your garden beds yet, MC? Joe, I have not. I need to rototill the garden over probably next week, provided we don't get any snow. And I will be planting my peas come April 1st, like I do every year. But I will be working in the yard, I believe, next weekend, if not this weekend, although we're supposed to get rain. All right, let's talk about a bunch of music news because there's a bunch of stuff to go through. Serj Tankian's memoir, Down with the System, is coming out on May 14th. Congratulations to Pearl Jam. The title track from their new album, Dark Matter, is the #1 rock song in the country this week. AC/DC's Power Trip Tour is happening in Europe. No North American dates yet. However, there is a Bon Scott film that is being made in Australia right now that is all about the early days of Bon Scott's life. And it's called The Boy from Harvest Road, I believe it's called. So that is going to be coming out with full cooperation of the Bon Scott estate, by the way. Linkin Park are getting ready to release their new singles collection, Paper Cuts, on April 12th. The new song, Friendly Fire, is available everywhere, and you can check out the video for that. That's got footage of Chester Bennington in it. Cage the Elephant are getting ready to release their new album, Neon Pill, on May 19th. The Slash Blues album, speaking of Brian Johnson from AC/DC, he announced his new album on Friday. It's called Orgy of the Damned. It's going to happen. The release date is May 17th. And it is a who's who of guest appearances covering blues standards. The first single is the song Killing Floor, and it features Brian Johnson from AC/DC on vocals and Steven Tyler on harmonica. If you haven't seen the video yet, it's awesome. And it's up on YouTube. And we are getting a new Jelly Roll song on Monday. His wife, Bunny XO, has been sharing stories and stuff with clips. But Jelly Roll, who's getting ready to go out on his biggest tour ever, his arena tour this fall, is getting ready to release a new song and make the announcement about his upcoming album. The song is coming on Monday, so make sure you're keeping an eye out for that. Everybody wishing Keith a happy unbirthday. Carrie Slash is coming to Boston in August. Oh, trust me, I know. So let's talk about some of the shows that are going to be coming through New England. If you are here in the War Room from outside of New England, all of the tours that I'm going to talk about are probably coming to wherever you are. But I always try to keep people up to date with the shows that are coming through New England, which is exactly what you'll find on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Incubus is doing their Morning View tour, which is going to hit the TD Garden on August 31st. Weezer announced they're going to celebrate. This is to celebrate the 23rd anniversary of the album Morning View. Weezer is celebrating the 30th anniversary of their debut album, which they call the Blue Album. They are going to be at the TD Garden September 10th with Flaming Lips and Dinosaur Jr. Those tickets go on sale on Friday. And the aforementioned Jelly Roll is going to be at the TD Garden on September 26th. At the DCU Center, Big Gig 3 that we already talked about, happening April 27th. Stain Seether, Asking Alexandria, and Tim Montana. Mike Shue and I are going to be there. Also at the DCU Center, the Silver Scream Con, which is the horror and gore and metal festival that Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills put together. That is going to be in the convention space at the DCU Center, September 13th through the 15th. And Iron Maiden, happy birthday once again to Steve Harris, is going to be at the DCU Center on November 16th. Killing Floor Rock, somebody said in the comments, it's fantastic. It's so good. If you love blues music, Slash is doing this album right. And he's doing it with his new record label, Gibson Records. So Big Night Live has got some big shows coming, including Set It Off and Crown the Empire and Starset. And you can check out those on the events calendar. All of the concerts we're going to talk about are in the events calendar. The Xfinity Center has got a ton of shows coming, and they start on June 21st. This is just the rock shows, by the way. With the Hardy Quit Tour, but then Alanis Morissette, Limp Bizkit, and Loserville, Styx and Foreigner, the Renegades and Jukebox Heroes Tour, the Doobie Brothers, who are working on their first album with Michael McDonald, and I think they said 40 years or something crazy. They are going to be at the Xfinity Center August 12th. The Sharp Dress Simple Man Tour with ZZ Top and Lynyrd Skynyrd, 30 Seconds to Mars, Creed Summer of 99 Tour with Three Doors Down and Finger 11, also Cage the Elephant's Neon Pill Tour. That is happening August 22nd. And the Freaks on Parade Tour with Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie. So we're going to be very busy. Melissa says, Carrie, will you please say happy birthday to Trina? Trina, happy birthday. No wonder you guys were all talking about how old you guys were. Happy birthday, Trina. Sorry, reading the comments are going like crazy, and trying to read all of the shows all at the same time is hard. Carrie, does that mean that Miles Kennedy and Slash are on hiatus? They're actually on tour right now. Slash featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators, now that Guns N' Roses is off the road. Once Slash finishes up the tour with Miles, and I believe they're working on some new music as well, because Mark Tremonti is not working with Miles on Alter Bridge. Mark Tremonti is working on a new Tremonti album before he goes out on the road with Creed. And you wonder why I can't remember where I put my cell phone sometimes. It's because all of this music stuff is taking up space in my brain. Adam Ant is going to be at the Wilbur coming up April 1st. Steve Vai and Joe Satriani at the Orpheum on April 5th. And then Joe Satriani is heading out on the road with Sammy Hagar on the Best of All Worlds tour, which is going to be later this year, that we just talked about at the Xfinity Center. Greta Van Fleet, August 2nd, is going to be at the Mohegan Sun Arena. Wednesday, what are you doing? You just over there zoning out? Okay. All right. Shows at the Leader Bank Pavilion. I Prevail and Hailstorm on July 16th. Those tickets are already on sale. The Slash Serpents Tour. Slash is bringing the Blues Tour in support of his album, Orgy of the Damned, to the Leader Bank Pavilion on August 1st. The tickets go on sale this Friday. The 311 Unity Tour featuring AWOL Nation and Neon Trees is going to be at the Leader Bank Pavilion in Boston on August 7th. And the Bush Loaded Greatest Hits Tour on August 24th. That is going to feature Jerry Cantrell and Candlebox. So this concert section is just expanding in the War Room every week and the events calendar. It's just crazy. The Sasanta Tour, which is celebrating Maynard's 60th birthday, Maynard James Keenan from Tool, A Perfect Circle, and Pussifer. The 3 Ps are going out on the road. Primus, Pussifer, and A Perfect Circle. They'll be at the Box Center Wang Theater April 2nd and 3rd. Dead Poets Society, who were on the podcast a few weeks ago, are going to be at Sinclair in Cambridge and Harvard Square on May 6th. The Rolling Stones are hitting Gillette Stadium May 30th. And of course, Metallica and the M72 World Tour and the No Repeat Weekends are going to be at Gillette August 2nd and 4th, which I cannot wait for. Speaking of Wolfgang Van Halen, Pantera, speaking of Ice Nine Kills, and Five Finger Death Punch are all on that lineup as well. Tons of rock shows heading to Fenway Park. The Fenway Concert Series includes Hootie and the Blowfish, Collective Soul, the Bare Naked Ladies, and Edwin McCain, June 21st. The Foos Sold Out Show on July 21st. Blink-182 on July 23rd. The aforementioned Def Leppard, Journey, and Heart Show, the Summer Stadium Tour, August 5th. Green Day, the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas on August 7th. This one is sold out. And of course, the newly announced Pearl Jam shows at Fenway on September 15th and 17th. Now we need an F-bomb, says Tracy. Louise says, cannot wait for Sammy. Let's see. I'll pay for drinks and parking if someone can take me to the Slash show, says Bish. You could almost get an Uber for what the drinks and the parking would cost, depending on who you end up going with. M72, yeah, baby, both days, says Michael Cole. Hey, beautiful Laura from Clinton. What's up, Laura? All right, the Palladium. Nita Strauss, Diamante, and Starbenders are there tonight, and I'm so bummed that I'm not there. I thought about maybe canceling the War Room tonight so that I could go and see the show, but I decided against it because it's been kind of a busy week, and people with Mistress Carrie backstage passes, you're going to find out why very soon. Queensryche and Armored Saint are going to be at the Palladium April 27th. Maylene and the Sons of Disaster featuring Jason Todd, who is the original guitarist from Shinedown. This is his band. They'll be there May 18th. And NoFX's finale tour is going to be at Campanelli Stadium in Brockton, August 31st and September 1st. All of those tickets, all of these shows listed on the website. The Dropkick Murphys are getting ready to kick off St. Patrick's Day weekend. 3 shows back to back to back at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway. This show on Sunday, the 17th. If you want to watch the Dropkick Murphys from wherever you are, wherever you're joining us here in the War Room from, they are going to live stream on Veeps from Boston on Sunday, the 17th. Also, Guster is going to be at the MGM on the 30th of March. Judas Priest, who just kicked off their Invincible Shield tour in Europe this week, they're going to be at MGM in Boston on April 25th. On April 28th, the Black Crowes are going to be doing the Happiness Bastards tour, the new album coming out on Friday. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Bad Religion and Social D on May 7th, Gary Clark Jr. on June 7th, and Kings of Leon coming up on September 16th. Happening at the House of Blues, the Dropkicks are doing their first show on Lansdowne Street at the House of Blues on Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway across the street. Blackberry Smoke on March 21st, Architects on May 6th, and Black Veil Brides on May 8th. Those Metallica tickets are very expensive, says Jason. Glad you didn't cancel. I would miss you, says Jason. Thank you. Nita Strauss is spelled wrong. It is? Damn it. There's a typo? I drank for the social. Happening at the Paradise Rock Club coming up on the 16th, Matisyahu. David Draymond from Disturbed has been defending Matisyahu. His show just got canceled in Chicago because there is so much hatred. For some reason, just because Matisyahu, he didn't say anything, he just happens to be Jewish. And now all of a sudden, people are threatening to boycott his shows because they don't want to work at the venues because of what's going on in Gaza. And Matisyahu is just out on the road. By the way, he's a reggae, all about love performer. And his show in Chicago just got canceled because they were afraid of the security implications, so Matisyahu is going to be at the Paradise Rock Club and also Girls School coming up on March 29th. Let's see. Melissa says, my son is going to the Dropkick Murphy show on St. Patrick's Day. Well, you'll be able to stream it on Veeps if you want to watch it. City Winery Boston, there are a bunch of shows, including tomorrow night, Lauren Monroe, who's going to be on the podcast, with Rick Allen from Def Leppard. That show is happening tomorrow night. Jesus Jones is going to be at City Winery Boston on April 2nd. Soto Beeler is going to be there. That's Jeff Cott Soto, by the way. That's April 6th. 10,000 Maniacs, April 28th, and Hawthorne Heights on May 6th. And if you want to go tomorrow night and you want to go to City Winery Boston, this is very limited. The sirens outside Wednesdays, not happy about it. If you are in the Boston area and you want to go to City Winery Boston tomorrow night to see Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe, I have a guest list that I can get you on, but there is limited space. So, like we do from time to time here in the War Room, I give out free tickets to things. What you got to do is go to mistresscarrie.com. Do it right now because these tickets are not going to last. Go to mistresscarrie.com, click the message the studio button in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and put Lauren and Rick in the subject. Make sure I have your full name, your email address, and I will hook you up with free tickets tomorrow night at City Winery Boston to go see Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe. If you are a fan of drumming, if you're a Def Leppard fan, if you are a veteran or a first responder, or if you just love music in general, you're going to want to go to this show. But the show's tomorrow night. So if you want to go, you got to hit the message the studio button and put Lauren and Rick in the subject line and get your tickets. And I will be reaching out to you as soon as the show is over because I need to submit that guest list first thing tomorrow. Okay. New releases come out on Fridays. The Black Crowes' Happiness Bastards is coming out on Friday. The new Dragonforth album, Warp Speed Warriors, is coming out on Friday. Scott Stapp's solo album, Higher Power, is coming out on Friday. And also, Lenny Kravitz was supposed to be releasing his new album, Blue Electric Light, this Friday. He has postponed it to May 24th. So you're going to have to wait a little while longer for that. Trina says, Jesus Jones, that is a throwback. I always loved that song, Right Here, Right Now, but they had a very long career, broke up, and have since gotten back together and are going back out on the road again. Christine says, Wednesday wants to go. I know. Wish I could go. My son has his high school band concert tomorrow, says Brett. Oh, bummer. Wish I could go, but I have to work, says Louise. Well, if you can go to see Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe at City Winery Boston tomorrow night, you've got to let me know sooner than later. So those are your new releases. Mail call this week. There are a couple things that came in the mail. And perfect timing with St. Patrick's Day. So the first card that I got is this one right here. And it says, Dear Mistress Carrie and family, hope all is well. I'm glad that your mom is settled and is doing well. Wednesday is such a cutie, not spoiled at all. By the way, I just love your purple hair. Take care. Love, Jessica. So thank you, Jessica. I appreciate the card, which is kind of cool. It's like 3-dimensional. And then I got this card today. Sunflowers, which I will be planting in the garden this year. Just sending a little sunshine your way, love, Louise. Thank you, Louise. And she sent me sham rock and roll socks for St. Patrick's Day. I knew I wore the green shirt for a reason, Louise. These are hilarious and arrived just in time for St. Patrick's Day, so thank you. Wednesday, you can't eat the socks, though. I'm sorry, you can't eat the socks. I could put one on your little foot, but I don't think you would like it, right? Want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hi? Yeah? You making pug noises? You could be on everybody's giant 70-inch TVs right now, Wednesday. You are so big. You're a little dog, but you could be big on everybody's TVs. All right. Want to remind you guys that there are a bunch of things coming, including Mistress Carrie Vader drumsticks are coming to the online shop at mistresscarrie.com. If you're new to the War Room and you didn't know, there is a whole line of merchandise that's available in the shop at mistresscarrie.com. Hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops, coffee mugs, pint glasses, stickers, mouse pads, beanies, baseball hats, visors. There's so much stuff in there. So you can just go to mistresscarrie.com, click the shop, and it's all up there for you, including Cocktails in the War Room t-shirts. And if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, well, you know what we do there. And if you don't, get a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass on Patreon. You have monthly live streams that are private with me. You also can submit podcast interview questions because you find out who's going to be on the podcast before anybody else. When I travel and take the show on the road, you get travel blog updates. You also get early access to event information and tickets and exclusive concert ticket giveaways. And I want to remind the Backstage Pass holders, you guys have had access to these Lauren Monroe and Rick Allen tickets for a week now. So if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass and you want to go, you got to let me know. But I have more tickets up for grabs for Backstage Pass holders coming up very soon. And also, when we launch new merchandise items, you also get discount codes so that you can get the stuff first and at a discount. So go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie or just click the Patreon link at mistresscarrie.com and get yourself a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. And all the places that you can track me down online, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Cameo, YouTube, Patreon. Then, of course, you can download the Pike app and listen to my show live every weekday from 3 to 7 on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. If you like classic rock and if you like your rock a little bit newer, you can download the Bone app and listen to me every weekday afternoon from 3 to 7 on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. Did you mention Stained and Breaking Benjamin in Guilford, New Hampshire in September? I did not, but that is up on the event calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Daughtry and Lakeside are also on that tour as well, Melissa, but thank you for the reminder. Those tickets go on sale this Friday, and we're actually giving them away all week on my show on The Bone if you want to try and win them. But Stained has announced a fall tour once the big gig show and the show on April 30th in Portland, Maine at the Cross Insurance Arena shows are over. They're doing a fall co-headlining tour with Breaking Benjamin, and I'm really excited for the Breaking Benjamin tour as well. Sorry, just had a brain fart. Michael Cole said, nickname for the drumsticks? We're calling them the bitch sticks. It's confirmed. So I'm making Mistress Carrie collectible drumsticks, playable drumsticks. They're going to be high quality, but we're calling them bitch sticks, which is amazing. Bish says, Carrie, you see the pic I tagged you in wearing my War Room shirt from the run recently? I did actually, and I wasn't anywhere near where I could save it on my computer, but I need to get that up and show me your MC and remind everybody that if you're wearing Mistress Carrie gear out someplace cool, make sure you take selfies because we have a whole gallery on Facebook of places that people go wearing Mistress Carrie gear. So Jessica says, can you give those drumsticks to Shannon Larkin and Sully Erna? Well, the thing is, a drummer like Shannon Larkin and Sully, they are endorsed by their own drumstick company, their own drum company, their own guitar companies. And I'm not sure if they're endorsed by Vader drumsticks or not. If they are, of course I could give it to them. Sully's mom was on stage. Jessica, I did see that on Sully's Instagram. Hilarious. When are we doing the Patreon this month? Marcy, I will let you know tomorrow. I'm planning out some visitation time with the Hubs right now, Mr. C. And so I need to make sure that I can commit to when we're going to do the live stream. But we are going to do one before the end of March for sure. Bitch sticks, exactly, says Marcy. We're working on the final artwork and like figuring out where the name of the sticks is going to go and the logos and all of that. But they're going to be pretty badass. Keith says, my son, the man cub, is having shoulder surgery on Thursday. Please keep him and me in your thoughts. Keith, I can't imagine it. I'm only a stepmom or a bonus mom, but when I was a kid, I had a lot of surgeries, and I can't imagine how nerve-wracking that is for a parent, how helpless you feel. Kids really don't understand why something like that happens to them, and so having surgery when you're the one in the waiting room, as a parent, I think you would much rather have it be you, the one on the operating table, to spare your kids the pain, and sitting there helpless in the waiting room just sucks. Donna says, speedy recovery to him. Right, Wednesday? All right, are we ready to finish up the show Wednesday? Are we ready? All right, guys. So once again, I want to thank everybody that's been watching on Instagram. I want to thank everybody that's been, thank everybody that's been watching on YouTube. Happy 4th anniversary. And also happy St. Patrick's Day this weekend as well. Party responsibly. Please don't drink and drive. Thank you for 4 amazing years here in the War Room. Here's to 4 and many more after that years together. And thank you guys so much for becoming just the special group of people that you are, the support system, the community, the fact that you guys have bonded together and created your own relationships and friendships. That you guys meet up at shows together, that you support each other online and in person. We really are this insane little family that started 4 years ago this week, March 14th. So Thursday's our actual anniversary, but we'll celebrate it tonight together. So cheers to you guys. Happy 4th anniversary. New episode of the podcast coming out at midnight tonight featuring Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe. City Winery tomorrow night. 4 for 4, says Mark Straight. Cheers. I will see you guys next Tuesday. And you want to say goodnight Wednesday? Do you want to hold on? Here. You can take a shot of your Tito's too. There you go. Happy anniversary Wednesday. It wouldn't be the War Room without you, right? Yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Happy anniversary. Say goodnight Wednesday.